It's time to raise your expectations as an Arizona Cardinals fan. We'll tell you just how to do so. Plus, did the Cardinals have the best safety duo in the NFL and how they can clinch a playoff spot this weekend? Week 14 in the NFL season. It's the Locked On NFL. It's the Locked On Arizona Cardinals podcast. It's Brack, Alex Clancy.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on? Rise up, Red Seeds, Brack, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. And we're a couple days away, actually, from Monday Night Football. We're not going to it's not like your typical week here on Locked On Cardinals. It's a Monday night showdown in the NFC West. The Arizona Cardinals can take a commanding lead in Week 14 if they beat the Rams. They'll have a 3-game lead with 4 to play at that point. That would be an incredible boost for the Arizona Cardinals, who need to remain in the driver's seat for the top NFC playoff spot. And, of course, the NFC West, one of the toughest divisions, if not the premier division in the NFL. It's time to change your expectations. I'll explain what I mean. As an Arizona Cardinals fan, that bar, it's raising a little bit. The Arizona Cardinals have the best safety duo in the NFL. I know you've heard Alex and I say that they do, Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. We'll look at the other guys' duos in contention for that, to be known as the top safety duo in the NFL, and how the Arizona Cardinals can actually clinch a playoff spot this weekend. They can actually do it before they even play their game on Monday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner. Follow Alex and follow me at Brack. This episode of Locked On Cardinals, it's brought to you by On Location, your official hospitality partner of the NFL. It's the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Visit onlocationexp.com/SB56 for more information, or search Super Bowl On Location. So I brought up that you need to raise your expectations, and we'll start with that, Alex. I think that you've seen the Arizona Cardinals under Cliff Kingsbury with Kyler Murray in the fold since they pivoted from Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray as their franchise quarterback and finally got it right. It wasn't Matt Leinart. It wasn't Josh Rosen. It wasn't even Kevin Cobb, who they traded for. It's Kyler Murray. They finally found their franchise QB after all these years. That the team incrementally getting better each and every season. A playoff appearance is not acceptable for this team in 2021.
I mean, sure. Now, but how far are you going to take this? Like, is it one seat or bust? Like, at this point, you're in the driver's seat. We'll see what happens on Sunday. We're going to get everything laid out for us with the culmination of Sunday being Green Bay playing Chicago at home. It's going to be cold. It's going to be weird. But chances are they're going to have a 1-game lead over Green Bay going into the Monday night slate against the Rams at home, Monday Night Football. If they lose that game, they've lost the 1 seed due to a tiebreaker. So what are the parameters of what you're talking about here? Are we saying, because I agree with you, obviously, playoffs, if they miss the playoffs, everybody should be fired and they should be relegated to whatever AAF, whatever. They can take their ball and go home. Like, what are we talking about here? Are we talking one and done in the playoffs isn't enough? Are we talking win a game and that is enough? Like, what's the line of demarcation between a letdown of a season and a success of a season?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I know exactly what to say as far, because the expectations with them raising and you kind of just reformulating them instead of just saying, okay, they go from 8-8 on the outside looking in. I'd just be happy with a playoff appearance, and that's fine. Those are the expectations going into the season. You wanted to see if Cliff Kingsbury could hang as an NFL head coach. I think that he's exceeded those expectations. He's proven that he's an NFL head coach and play caller. Kyler Murray's proving that he can take even another step forward this season. 4 touchdowns in his return over the weekend. I think that the Arizona Cardinals, and as an Arizona Cardinals fan, that if the Cardinals relinquish their top spot, yeah, that was a tough one. Relinquish their top spot. I got there on the NFC, the top NFC playoff spot. If they lose on Super Wild Card weekend, which they would have to play if they don't have that top spot. If they don't win in the divisional round, each one of those bumps in the road it's very, you can be disappointed in this team because they underachieve. Because right now they're in the conversation with maybe 3 other teams in the league, most of them on the NFC side of things, as the top team in the league. That means that they fell short of expectations because the expectations have now risen. They're no longer, it'd be fun to make the playoffs. Can this team be a playoff team? They've already answered that. Now they're in a completely different tier than we even expected going into this season.
For sure. And on top of that, and not to just speak things into existence. I hate that phrase. Speak it into existence. It'll happen. Don't be a child. You know that if they get the 2 seed, they're probably going to play the Rams and the 49ers with that 7 seed. Because look, even if the Cardinals win on Monday, nothing is for sure. There's so many games left. They have the Cowboys. They have the Colts on Christmas on a weird Saturday night when you'd rather be with your family. Weird things happen. They have Seattle last game of the year. The Cardinals have been the spoiler for Seattle in perpetuity, seemingly, in the last game of the year when they go to Seattle and win when they're out of playoff contention. It's a division opponent. So they've got some hurdles to overcome for the rest of the season. If they beat the Rams on Monday, the Rams are now hoping for a playoff spot. You know, You don't want to be the 2nd or 3rd seed. You want that number 1 spot. And I agree with you. This is the second half of the season. Even though the NBA season seems longer, the NFL season is very long in the respects of storylines change seemingly every month. Every quarter of the season, there are different expectations. They're kind of recalibrated. And it doesn't matter. The happy to be here stuff, you're right. That's gone. That is absolutely gone. Cliff's got his bag. Kyler's going to get paid. They're going to bring everybody back. We're already looking towards next season roster-wise. But now, if they don't get the 1 seed, it's going to be a disappointment.
For sure. And I think
regardless of who they play for the rest of the season.
That's where I want you to separate it. It's a disappointment. You have every right as an Arizona Cardinals fan or somebody that's followed this team to be disappointed if they fall short of the number 1 seed or if they lose in the Super Wild Card weekend, which they could. They absolutely could. Or they lose in the divisional round. I think anything not an NFC championship game appearance is a disappointment for this team because they're that good. Failure is something you can remove. There was a chance that this could be a failure of a season. If Cliff Kingsbury didn't prove that he belonged, if Kyler Murray took a step back, if this team couldn't compete for a playoff spot, I think that you could characterize it as a failure. That's gone. Those days are over. This team is an immense success. And now with that, there's raised expectations. And you have every right as a Cardinals fan, if they fall short of an NFC playoff championship game appearance, it's a disappointment. So that's just pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and it's eerily similar to the Suns. You know, we should have Brendan Clean on at some point as we're producing the show, as we're talking about it. Host of Locked On Suns, was the Suns season a failure? No. Was the Suns season a success? Kind of. But look at what happened with the roster. They brought everybody back. They saw all they needed to see for the future. And I think a lot of times, even though you lose the big game or you lose 4 in a row after going up 2-0, that you see enough to bring it back, to run it back. And that's very important with, the ever-growing potency of free agency and a lot of guys on 1-year deals. You've got to prove these guys that this is something that can last.
Yeah.
On top of proving to the NFL they're for real.
And also, I think the Buffalo Bills from last season to this season are a prime example of, you think that window opens up and it's just going to be wide open. You've got a signal caller, a franchise quarterback in the fold for the foreseeable future. You're like, oh, they're just gonna be in the mix going forward from here on out, and that's not the case. They're already. I mean, the Patriots being down lasted 1 season. And you look at the NFC West. You've got the Rams that are going to be in the mix. You've got the 49ers who have a lot of young, talented players that could absolutely step up in the next season and put them right back in the fold. I think that the window is open right now, and to say, hey, we're just happy with a playoff appearance would be. I think that'd be selling yourself short as an Arizona Cardinals fan as far as the organization goes. Bo Brack, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We do have the debate about the best safety duo in the NFL. It's such an important position, such a versatile position in the league. And it's just littered with talented players. The best duo, does it reside in Glendale? Do they play for the Arizona Cardinals? Saw a recent list. It doesn't have the Cardinals, Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson as the top duo. I'll tell you who it is, who we believe it is. We'll get into that, but I do need to tell you that Super Bowl 56, excited to tell you about this, at SoFi is less than 100 days away, and On Location is the official hospitality partner of the NFL. Is the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Select your exact seats and choose from elite package experiences featuring an exclusive pregame celebration with NFL legends, 5-star LA hotels, and food by the great Wolfgang Puck. I can name maybe 3 celebrity chefs, and Wolfgang's one of them. You know he's legit. Visit onlocationexp.com/SB56 for more information, or search Super Bowl On Location. That's onlocationexp.com/SB56, or search Super Bowl On Location.
And listen, Bo, you talking about the Super Bowl coming up. There's a lot of events that you can wager some shekels on between now and then. BetOnline has you covered, whether it be NFL, NBA, college basketball, etc., NHL, everything. BetOnline's got you covered. They've got a new updated interface. Everything's streamlined. It remains your number one spot for all sports action this season. Go to the website or use your mobile device today to sign up. Receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit using promo code Locked On. Go to the website or use your mobile device today to receive a 50% welcome bonus with promo code Locked On your first deposit. Basketball, football, NHL, etc. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
The Arizona Cardinals return to the practice field today in Tempe at the facility. Going to start to gear up for their Monday night showdown against the Los Angeles Rams. Cardinals, you got Kyler Murray back in the fold. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. Could they get Justin Pugh back for this contest? We'll see what the most recent news is on Jalen Thompson. Of course, banged up a little bit in the game on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. But I saw this recent quote from defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. And he says that Jalen Thompson is exceeding expectations. And he cited his high football IQ and said that he's leading discussions in meeting rooms. So he's just taking on a leadership role. A guy that Alex always points out was a supplemental draft pick. It cost the Arizona Cardinals a 5th-round pick. That's what it cost them. That's it. And they got one of the best safeties in the league to couple with Budda Baker. It's 23-year-old Jalen Thompson. You've got Budda Baker, who's locked in on a big contract. And I saw this best safety duos in the NFL, and it was just a random tweet. And they had Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde of the Buffalo Bills, 2 guys who were disappointed in a reporter's questioning after their Monday night loss, where they only did surrender 14 points to the New England Patriots, and they just couldn't slow down the run. Both of those safeties also, I believe, could not slow down DeAndre Hopkins as he went up for the Hail Murray at the end of the game. I think they were 2 of the 3 defenders that were in coverage on that play, but 2 very talented safeties. And I think that they're absolutely in the conversation. Then number 2 is Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage of the Green Bay Packers, and then Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. I think they have that right.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, you know what? Maybe that's true. The Cardinals haven't won anything. Budda Baker was not a household name until he signed his big contract. Again, I tell this story. I had friends who watch a lot of football text me and saying, "Who is Budda Baker?" And and obviously that's not the case anymore. Obviously, we in the Valley know who he is out of Washington. Him and Byron Murphy coming out of Washington, and then Jalen Thompson coming out of Washington State. The rest of the country is sleeping when those guys were excelling in the Pacific Northwest, playing games at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. It's not time yet. Let's see what happens when this list comes out next year after the Cardinals make a deep playoff run. The Packers they've shown. The Bills, they've shown. They've been deep. They've been on national TV on Saturday and Sunday and during deep playoff runs. This is more weighted down because nobody knows who Jalen Thompson is yet. But that's not going to be for long. God, he's 23. Sweet Jesus.
The entire
defense is young.
The entire defensive secondary is young. I mean, Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Byron Murphy, You've got Marco Wilson. I mean, all those guys, young bucks, and then you kind of sprinkle in a guy like Robert Alford, who of course is over 30, and of course Jordan Hicks in the linebacking core. But it's they've got some young building blocks, and I got to imagine Jalen Thompson's going to be in the mix for a new contract. On Sunday alone, he had, according to Pro Football Focus, an 82.9 grade. He had 10 tackles, and he had that pick. And if you watch the video of the pick, it was a tip ball. That if the Bears wide receiver came down with it, he was probably going to regret it because Jalen Thompson was just coming at him with the whole full head of steam. And I think that I really get the sense that Thompson, more so than even Budda Baker, who's an elite tackler, really set the tone for the defensive backs and their ability to take down ball carriers. I think he really does. Him not shying away from contact kind of set the tone in that entire room.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the best open field tackler saving touchdowns we've seen this year. It started with Minnesota. There was one that Dalvin Cook would have been see you later real quick, and Jalen Thompson made a great tackle. They're both a little bit, I mean, they're both safeties. So they're not big bruiser Cam Chancellors. They're safeties. You know, I'm taller than both of them. And Budda Baker hits harder than many safeties we've seen. I mean, he's not a Bob Sanders type, but he's on the field a lot longer. You take that. And then Jalen Thompson is coming into his own. We didn't know last year if he could stay healthy. Like, I think he had a COVID scare, but he misses time. The first couple of years, he missed time. And this year, he was hobbled a little bit in Chicago. I think it was a shoulder, I can't remember. But yeah, they're gonna be around for a long time. They're going to be around for a long time. And they've got him under contract for one more year, I believe, Jalen Thompson. Byron Murphy,
he's a guy that is going to be up for an extension. And those are guys that you can just rely upon for the next couple seasons. It's Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. How the Arizona Cardinals can clinch a playoff spot even before their game on Monday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams. It's crazy. 10-2 on the season, 7-0 on the road. In a conversation I had on the Locked On Today podcast yesterday, I want to get into that as well. But absolutely, I have to tell you about the best tasting protein bar on the planet. This holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich and decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, but high in muscle packing protein. You get the best of both worlds. Delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Well, you have raspberry or mint brownie, cherry, double chocolate, cookies and cream, and peanut butter brownie. And Built Bar gives you the extra fuel that you need during the holiday shopping season. You can bust down those mall doors, or of course you can just stay online and just order all those packages off Amazon without getting a little sleepy at the wheel with Built Bar. If you like those delicious Built Bars, go to thebuilt.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's using the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day here, whether you're watching on YouTube at 10 a.m. when we premiere episodes, or wherever you find your podcasts, if it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. A big thank you for checking out the pod with Bo, Brack, and Alex Clancy. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner, and at Bob Rack. So the NFL released the playoff clinching scenarios. This was the first week that they did so, and the Arizona Cardinals were at the top of the list. They can absolutely do this weekend. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here. The Cardinals, as they take on the LA Rams at 8-4 on Monday Night Football. Arizona can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie, or if the Vikings lose or tie, or a San Francisco loss, or if Minnesota loses, New Orleans loses or ties, and Carolina loses or ties, or San Francisco loses plus a New Orleans loss or tie, and Atlanta, Carolina tie. So there you go. It's crazy, win or loss, tie, all that crap. The Arizona Cardinals in a prime spot. So if any of those teams stumble this Sunday, Arizona Cardinals will have clinched a playoff spot by Monday night. I mean, they can also do so if those teams win.
Can you put that back up real quick? Put that back up real quick for me. Sorry for the YouTube people out there. Bo rattled it off for you. This is pretty sweet. It's a lot better than 1 week left in the season and 96 things needing to happen for you. Like, real quick, just a little part of levity here. You could pull it, dude. The basketball Kenny Mayne and Dan Patrick moment where they're trying to explain all of the playoff scenarios that ends with potato sack races on recurring Sundays until a winner is crowned. That's what this stuff reminds me of. It gets more and more fun as we get closer to week 17 and 18 this year. Yeah. But the sweetest way to do it, and what team with Super Bowl aspirations, how they do it, is you blow the doors off the Rams on Monday. You don't worry about anybody else doing anything. They're going to make the playoffs. Okay? They're going to make the playoffs. But you don't want to, one, have other teams decide your fate of where you land. And number two, backdoor into the playoffs, even though it's going to be, whatever, the 4 seed instead of the 1 seed or something like that. You go home. You go home where you can't win games. You go home and you blow the doors off a Rams team that is hobbled. Robert Woods is out for the year, and you take care of business and you punch your own ticket to the playoffs and not hope that Minnesota loses and San Francisco wins or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You control your own destiny. That's what the great teams do. You don't have to rely on any other team and what they're going to do on each and every week. It's going to be huge for they controlled their own destiny each and every week, outside of the Carolina Panthers game. That was one where they were just taken advantage of. It was ugly. It wasn't the game that we've seen so far on display, through 12 different games. So 11 games, they've really kind of dictated how the opposing team's going to play the rest of the game. Maybe outside of Minnesota. Minnesota also was able to kind of come out and set the tone early on, but the Arizona Cardinals were able to overcome that. But it's so important. I was talking to Peter Bukowski on Locked On Today. It's one of our flagship shows here on the network, and it covers in just 20 minutes all the sports news that you need. And Peter told me that he doesn't believe in this Cardinals team yet. He says people are sleeping on them, which is pretty much the status quo from this offseason in years previous. But he just doesn't believe that when the lights get brighter in the postseason, that they have enough experience. And I'm paraphrasing there. That's pretty much what I gathered from him. I know he doesn't believe in Cliff. And he was also still leaning on the win that the Packers had on Thursday Night Football, forgetting that if just A.J. Green turns around and just puts a hand on the ball, doesn't catch it, the Cardinals probably tie that game, and we're talking about a completely different performance. He says that they haven't done it against some of the premier teams where they have. I mean, they took care of business already on the road against the LA Rams. They went to Cleveland without their head coach, a couple key members of their team, and handled the Cleveland Browns. I mean, there's all over their schedule. They crushed Tennessee in the opener. I mean, Tennessee looked like a JV football team in the season openers. They've since turned it around, and they were just one play away from beating Green Bay. They dismantled San Francisco, who had Jimmy G back in the lineup, even more handily than they did the couple previous weeks to that, when they had Trey Lance. I mean, I think that they have a diverse resume of winning that proves to me that when the games matter more and it's win or go home, that they're in a good position to continue.
Innovation is always mocked. Change is always questioned. Whatever cliche you want to use. We've talked to two. You talked to one, Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers and Locked On Today, and Lauren Cox from last week of Locked On Bears, two NFC North blue blood teams that just completely threw away the Cardinals being an actual contender. Lauren Cox, bless his heart. What a sweetheart. He sugarcoated a piece of poo when he was talking about the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. He didn't believe him. And he was resigned to the fate of that the Bears would lose to the Cardinals because they're ravaged by injuries. But what do the Cardinals need to do to gain respect? They need to win. They need to continue to win and win a playoff game. And what the Tom Brady route is, you get the 1 seed. Well, he could add the 2 seed also when he was with New England. Get that bye week, baby, and then you're 1 game away from the NFC Championship game. So every week it's to take advantage of the situation at hand. And you're right. Should the Cardinals get more national respect? I think I mean, they should get more than they're getting, but they shouldn't be anointed yet. Let's not get crazy here. There's still a lot of football left to be played in the regular season with two of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen and probably the two best quarterbacks in the last 20 years nipping at their heels with the 2 and the 3 seed respectively, with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, with a better offense. Tampa Bay's got a better offense than the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a better defense. And Aaron Rodgers has, he has experience in spades over pretty much everybody on the Cardinals roster. So that's a lot to stay in front of. But if they continue to take care of business, it won't matter if they get the 1 seed.
No, it won't. It won't. And if they're able to hold off two of the greatest quarterbacks the game has ever seen, nipping at their heels, I mean, that if people aren't giving them credit by then, I mean, if they do that, Alex, there's people are still going to be reluctant to pick them in their playoff bracket.
For sure.
It's
Agreed.
It's insane. And it's just like, well, what the only thing, and there's only one thing left to do. And it's a line from Major League. It's win the whole effing thing. That's it. There's only one thing to do. It's win the whole effing thing. Because otherwise, if you don't, people are going to start to say, well, I told you so. Because people love to say, I told you so, especially the people that have already anointed the teams that they're comfortable and they are easy in connecting the dots that they've done so far. That's why people won't give up on the Matthew Stafford Rams thing. People believe that was going to be a success, and it was a minor success early on. But if you really look in depth at it and you see that he's beaten the Lions, he's beaten the Giants, he's beaten the Texans, he just beat the Jags. But as far as the good teams, he's beaten one good team.
Beat Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
that was it.
Other than that, he's 0-3. The Rams are 1-3 against winning teams this season. So we'll see if the Arizona Cardinals can push them to 1-4 on Monday Night Football. We're going to talk to our guys. Yeah. And,
no, I mean, let's go ahead.
I mean, if you just think about what the conversation is going to be nationally on Tuesday morning after that game. One scenario is the Arizona Cardinals win. Do they finally get the respect? I don't think that they will. They should. If they lose, people are going to be slobbering over this Rams team. They're going to be, the Rams are back. The Rams finally have a big signature win on the season. Look at their resume. They've beat the Bucks and now they beat the Cardinals. This is going to be the NFC team. They're going to catapult them ahead of the Cardinals.
Well, and I'll do you one better. If the Rams lose and lose by considerable margin, is Sean McVay on the hot seat? It's not going to be about the Cardinals as much. You know what I mean? Because Sean McVay is going to fall out of favor very quickly if they don't start to win soon. Or he's going to look at other jobs and be like, you know what? That job has draft picks. That job has a better quarterback. That job doesn't have a 31-year-old best defensive player or defensive lineman in the game, and Aaron Donald and an egomaniac. I guess that's not necessarily fair with Jalen Ramsey. He's been very good. But Sean, there's going to be a crack in the foundation with the Rams if they don't win a playoff game this year. It's going to be very quick. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals need to go in and they need to kick some ass. They need to take care of business. Kyler Murray needs to show that he could still win the MVP, even though Peter Schrager, our boy Peter Schrager, said on Good Morning Football today that TJ Watt was the MVP through 13 weeks. You stop it, Peter Schrager. You stop it right now. He's such a rascal.
The playoffs.
Yeah, Kyler Murray could still win the MVP. But it's going to be Tom Brady.
Yeah. Tom Brady has what, 35 total touchdowns?
I'll tell you what, he's going to throw more touchdowns than his age, which is absolutely insane because he's 100.
He has 34 passing touchdowns already. I mean, it's absurd. Yeah. He's played every game. Kyler's missed 3. So it's just an uphill climb as far as that goes. No Manning cast for the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. I haven't watched the regular Monday Night Football broadcast in so long. I love watching the nerdy Manning brothers get after it, give me the X and O's, give me their fun personalities in the interviews. I'm actually relieved though that it's not going to take away from this contest. This is the only game that I'm actually going to appreciate not having Peyton and Eli Manning because you can just focus on the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a big dumb face, and I love him. I like Eli Manning.
Eli?
Yeah, and Peyton Manning doesn't know how to chew. He's like a Hoover when he eats. Those are some of the best memes. No, all joking aside about Eli. Eli's one of the smarter quarterbacks we've seen. Give him all the crap you want. You go play in New York for 17 years or however long he played, not miss a game, win 2 Super Bowls, and say that he's not a Hall of Famer. Like, I can't stand that argument. They're 2 of the best football minds we've ever seen. They happen to be of the same lineage, and they happen to be best friends. It's the greatest thing that's done, and that's not fair to Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Brian Greasy, who have been good. Like, they are a great addition to primetime play-by-play and analysis, but it's not fair with Peyton Manning. Like, he's like Will Ferrell. You just throw him in somewhere, and he's going to be great.
Right. No, I agree. And I don't think that it could be duplicated. You'd be hard-pressed to find another duo outside of maybe Locked On Cardinals that you want to watch a Monday Night Football game with. You got your mic muted there. But
I think that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm actually kind of relieved. I'm like, okay, I can just focus on the game. I'm not going to have to watch whatever the 4 interviews that they have that game. But it is going to be a bummer that we're not going to get Peyton Manning breaking down, Kyler Murray on a play-by-play basis, or, his insight on Cliff Kingsbury's offense. That's one thing we're going to miss out on. They're going to just be off, I guess, for the holiday season. They'll be back for like a Ravens-Pittsburgh Monday Night Football game down the line. All right, that's going to do it for us. Going a little bit long here on Locked On Cardinals. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Bob Brack, at Clancy's Corner, at Locked On AZCards. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That continues to see more and more subscribers each and every day. You can watch us instead of just listen to us. But if you're just listening on the podcast platform, thank you for doing so. Subscribe, follow along with us there. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Now make Locked On Bets your second listen. Your boy Q and Lee Sterling gearing you up for the betting week that is. One of the best handicappers and analysis you're going to get from Lee Sterling. It's free, just like we are, and available on all platforms. Talk to you guys on Thursday.